It is time to experience a different radio station in digital broadcasting WKIT. Pyramid One World Radio Network with broadcaster Bob Charles. Our programming is based on truth, faith, and love. We have studios in Florida, Texas, and Australia. So let's begin into subjects that change our perceptions about the world around you and I.
Good evening, listeners. Bob Charles and Pyramid One World Radio Network are proud to present Robert Potter and Raymond Keller, author of his new book Venus Rising, the UFO History of the Second Planet. Pyramid One World Radio presents an intriguing and captivating event, Venus Rising, exploring the UFO history of the second planet. Join us for a thought-provoking conversation with Robert Potter and Raymond Keller, the esteemed author of this must-have book that deserves a place in everyone's library. In this exclusive event, we will delve into the fascinating world of UFO history on Venus. Robert Potter and Raymond Keller will share their extensive knowledge and research, shedding light on the mysteries surrounding this enigmatic planet. From ancient civilizations to modern-day sightings, they will take us on a journey through time, exploring the uncharted territory of Venus extraterrestrial encounters. Robert Potter's expertise in ufology and his passion for uncovering hidden truths make him a remarkable speaker for this event. His insights into the UFO phenomenon have captivated audiences around the world. Raymond Keller, known as the Second, is an accomplished author whose book has become a must-read for enthusiasts and skeptics alike. According to Dr. Raymond A. Keller, also known as Cosmic Ray, there are claims that the latter-day prophecies of UFO contactee Paul Solemn and Native American chiefs are now coming true. Dr. Keller discusses these prophecies in his book series, Venus Rising, and highlights the connection between UFO contactee Paul Solemn and Native American chiefs right here on Pyramid One World Radio Network.
And that be the end of it. Now, may I introduce, and really seriously, it just, the internet's been so up and down all day today. Anything can happen. I don't know. Anyway, getting back to where we were, let me get rid of this for a sec. Because I don't think it's going to go on again. I'd like it to go on again. But it won't.
given, so further research may be needed to gain a deeper understanding. But let Bob Charles remind listeners, by attending this event, you will gain valuable insights into the UFO history of Venus that are sure to leave you questioning what you thought you knew about our neighboring planet. Don't miss out on this unique opportunity to expand your knowledge and engage in a stimulating conversation with these renowned experts. Now please, with Bob Charles, put your hands together and welcome our honored guests, Mr. Robert Potter and book author Dr. Raymond A. Keller, the Second Planet.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had a big problem here in with the internet today. They have these they're putting in glass lines or fiber lines all over the place. And what they did was, I don't know where they got these people from, but they got people that dig holes and don't look at what's in the hole before they dig the hole. It's like, oh, what's this wire? Well, it's the main trunk to the internet for that side of the town. So, I mean, it was kind of crazy. It was very, very interesting. You want to talk about little guys net on other planets? We got them right here. They're working on the block.
Very
I'm
good.
serious. Yeah, I'm serious. They really, really do. Now, Rob, there was a lot of things that you wanted to talk about, and we're going to try to capsule this in a sense, in that, because I know you have other things in there to do and other places to go and whatever. So, what was on your mind?
Well, this is the first show that you're going to do with Dr. Keller on the article that's on my website. If you go to thepromiserevealed.net, let me go ahead and share screen real quick and see if I can pull that up for you. And can you can see my screen here?
I see a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay, what do you see?
I do not see a separate screen.
Okay.
Oh, I see something. Now I do.
Okay. So this is my website, The Promise Revealed. And if you go to, it's called the Truth References page on the Victory of the Light here. It might be under Raymond Keller as well, but I have a lot of information. My website has just been repaired. And right here it is. This is the Hopi prophecy of the Native American Indians. And I'm just going to take you through this. Now, Paul Solom was a very humble, unknown contactee. And this is Joseph Smith speaking. Joseph Smith was the individual that wrote the Book of Mormon of Latter-day Saints. And he was given a technology that Raymond was given as well. And I'll share that book that he was given. And so you can see here the links, they're active here. And these are the images. This is Paul Solom here. And this is, I believe, David Kachongva, one of the original Hopi elders, who was actually displaced after working with Paul Solom. Paul Solom had a technology used by Joseph Smith called the Urim and the Thummim stone, which opens up a portal for the person using this technology, the same technology that was given to Moses' son Aaron, the high priest, who was in the tabernacle. At that point in time, it was made of a tent. But this technology allowed him to look into the past. And I'll real quickly tell you Paul, or his history. Again, here we see Paul Solomon and David Kachungva. And then this technology was used by I'm just going to say this technology was used by Aaron. He was given a breastplate, and the breastplate of Aaron, and he was able to, I'm trying to stop sharing screen here. Let me just get this up here real quick. So what happened was, with the Ark of the Covenant, there was a rod and a staff inside the covenant, and probably some other things, but maybe even the breastplate of Aaron, which is 12 stones. It was laid on a silver and a gold cloth with some little hooks and a plate. Raymond was given this technology along with a pair of silver glasses like I'm wearing, made in ovals, that had two different stones. And one was called the seer or the Urim, and the Thummim, the interpreter. And this allowed Raymond to place his hands over the original Nag Hammadi Gospel of Thomas. This gospel was inclusive of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Youth Gospel of Jesus, the Acts of Thomas, and the Acts of Thomas, all contained in here. The most accurate gospel on the planet today, because it was written about 2 years ago by Raymond Keller using the supernatural gift from the ministry of angels, the Venusians, which was also given to Joseph Smith. I'll tell you, Joseph Smith was a young lad and living in Missouri at an early age, and he kept being visited by this angel in the morning and said, "They got to go out and dig up these plates and all this stuff." And he kind of thought it was a dream the first time. The second time, he got a little listened. He made a half-hearted look, and I believe it was on the third time he went out and found a wooden box buried, probably by the actual angel known as Moroni. It was golden plates with cuneiform tablets. And this is basically the lineage from of Cain and Abel from Adam, talking about the dispersion after, let's call it, Raymond can go into the history of that, but basically he was given these plates. Then the angel Moroni handed him the breastplate of Aaron and these goggles and taught him how to use this technology. Raymond was given the same technology. He doesn't like to emphasize himself, but I'm going to say that Joseph Smith was able to use this technology and go over these plates, and he was looking into the past in a bilocation signal and actually could discern what was written on those plates, what was thinking, and transported back to the time of the writing of the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon is accurate. It is real. Now, I'm not going to cast any dispersions on the Mormon religion. I'm just going to say that, the information in the Book of Mormon is correct. Now, again, this is not about a religion or of control. It's about the truth and the history of the earth's life of Jesus Christ and leading up to it, and really the divine plan. If you have an overarching view of these divine revelations given to the worthy messenger, Dr. Keller, I'm here to plow the road a little bit and to sharing this technology. So Raymond, using that technology, was well versed, and he found this about another gentleman named Paul Solom. He was a humble Mormon himself, and he was given these information, and he tried to bring it to the public. And he was lambasted and crucified by the elders in his church after he started talking about the UFOs that were landing and his experiences with, he actually met his oversoul. It's in this article. And he was told to take the information to the Native Americans. He knew a chief, or maybe he was in Idaho. I'm sorry, I may have forgotten, but yeah, that's where he was from. And he worked with the Native American elders. He went to Dan Kachunga. I think he was 101 years old, but he died in, I think, the 70s at the age of 141, but he didn't die. If you read Raymond Keller's book, Lady Columba, Venus Revelations, he was translated. He walked into a spaceship, and I'll bet you the chief of the Hopi, David Kachungva, who lost his position as the Hopi elder because he was working with a white man, but he brought in many of the elders and had repeated UFOs coming down. So Raymond's going to share with you this amazing story, and I want to thank you for letting me just come on here for just a minute. But I'm gonna share with you once again my website for just a second. I'm going to take you back to my Mount Shasta Summer Conference because this is where Raymond and I are going to be. We've had quite a few new speakers coming on. You can see here Alex Collier, Paula Venus, Frank Chili, who I interviewed. You can check out my website further for this. Richard Miller, Scott and Vicki Werner, a lot of new people. Here's Dr. Kiva Makedi Fall from East Senegal, expert on the Dogon tribe. He speaks like 9 languages and plays 12 instruments, or 12 instruments in 9 or 10 languages. An incredible African. He's got about 5 or 6 degrees. This is Vivian Chavez from the Arcturians, myself, Raymond Keller, Brad Olson, and Jane Masteller, many other people. This is going on, folks. We have a great price right now. It's $450. So excuse my little infomercial on that right now, but I think it's important for people to check out the website. We have places to stay. You can camp for 5 days and have 4 days of speakers nonstop, going crazy for only let me just put this up here. For only $450. So I'm sorry for that long-winded introduction. Raymond has a lot to go. Hopefully you can go a little over today, Bob. Raymond's going to blow your mind. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, Bob, for having me on.
Hey, Robert. Hey, Robert.
Yep.
That's very nice. What you said there was very, very good. We've been talking. Believe it or not, I'm going through this. It's going through my mind as you're talking. We've been talking about the Hopis on my shows for the last, I would say 13 and a half years.
Wow.
On and off. I mean, I'm serious. They were amazing people. They were way, way, way ahead of anything on this plane. They knew more things. They were more or less futuristic thinkers. In other words, they took everything, they assimilated everything, and they said, okay, then this is this. They came out with positive answers and that for things. They had the thing with what was it? A long time ago, somebody came on. They were talking about time travel. How they talked about it like it was real. These things are in portals were real. And this was I'm talking like we were talking about it on shows 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Well, of course, Raymond can fill you in, but I can tell you that the Hopis are, they probably crossed the land bridge from Asia. They went underground. They met the ant people. And like most civilizations on the planet, we originate from elsewhere. But the Hopis are going to be revealed much deeper in Raymond Keller's prognosis. But I'm glad that you have been working and sharing this, and I think you're going to enjoy a lot. I think we sent you the article if you had a chance to look over it.
Oh yeah, oh definitely. In the promo that you heard, part of it was in there.
I did hear that. Thank you so very much for having me on. God bless you, Raymond. Take it away, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Raymond Andrew Keller, the premier speaker at my event in Mount Shasta Summer Conference this year, July 18th. We're working on getting Bob out there, folks. So maybe he can do a fundraiser and get him out here. We'd love him to come out and to meet the speakers and have some fun. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you, Rob.
Go ahead, Cut.
Hey, listen, this is gonna happen again because I know I'm gonna get a lot of questions for this. And by the way, I want to remind everybody: if you write to bobcharlesshow@live.com, I get a bazillion questions and things that sometimes, I mean, I'm pretty good at answering them because I can always, say, oh, well, I'll get back to you. Then I listen to the show and I get back to them because they asked a question that somebody had already been answered. So that was that. So bobcharlesshow@live.com. You can call in right now if you're listening to the show. You can call to 609-663-0153. Or, now here we go, drum roll, please. You can go on the website, which is if you go into the internet and you put in Pyramid One Radio, Google will come up with a whole bunch of stuff on there. Now, you go down until you see the one that says Wix, W-I-X. Click on that one. When you click on that one, you go into Pyramid One Radio website. When you go into the website, scroll down a little bit, there's a chat room. Now, the chat room is wide open, and I happen to be watching it. So if you have a question and you don't want to come on Skype or you don't want to, make a phone call or whatever, you can just type it in. If you like, so many people have, this thing about texting all day. Well, good. Put your question into the chat room, and I'll read the question, and we'll answer it for you right here on the air.
Thank you. God bless you both. See you next time.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay, now it's me and you.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank you very much, Annette, for the book, because I mean, I'm only about maybe a quarter of the way Annette through it. If I want to get like everything like in one, like eating a meatball, you eat the whole meatball, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If I want to do that, I can speed read, and I can get through like a book about your size, give or take 4 hours. I can usually get through it. But this is too good. It's too detailed. I want to suck it in. I want to see what you read. So I mean, you got to imagine it. You got to think about it. You got to remember some of the people that you used in here. Obviously, I've seen them, met them, shook their hands, been on stage with them. One being, let me see now. Oh, this was a good one. I got to this and it was unbelievable. Let me see. David Bowie, a.k.a. the Space Oddity.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I got into that. I said, yeah, see? So it was like, I've been there, did that. Okay.
The subject is so expansive that it's taken me 7 books so far and counting to tell this story.
Well, it's kind of, yeah, but how could you, all right, put it this way. If you want to tell the story, and we've done this, I mean, really, I've had a panel on already that were pulling their hair out. If you wanted to summarize without summarizing, in other words, what I mean is, where did you start? Where did you get the idea? Where did you actually feel a love for what you're doing and what you're writing and the
Uh,
research that you're doing?
oh well, Bob, it began back in the 1960s, and I had a sighting of what looked to me like a flying saucer, a typical flying saucer. I was with uh, I was in high school and I was with a Boy Scout troop, and we were coming back from a camp out in Walton Hills, Ohio, and this object was hovering over a railroad trestle, seen by me and several others, and it inspired me to look into this subject of UFOs and to join the Cleveland Ufology Project. And from then on, publishing this magazine, the Flying Saucer Report, and investigating UFO sightings with the Cleveland Ufology Project, and meeting other ufologists around the world. Um, the joining APRO, Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, and their scientific consultant, Dr. Leo Sprinkle, wrote the introduction to Venus Rising. Um, I was on my way, and so I've been doing it ever since, like 60 years, and still going. And so I have a very extensive files from many UFO groups from around the world, and contactees, and so forth. And I have them in a storage facility here in West Virginia, to protect them and to pass this information on.
That's a lot to do to protect something like that. I mean, seriously. I mean, MUFON probably puts theirs in a safe.
Oh,
I would
yes.
them.
And in addition to the Venus books, I've also written with Fred Saluga, the chair of Mutual UFO Network in West Virginia, and also for Western Pennsylvania. 2 books, West Virginia Paranormal Gateway, and another one that's just coming out tomorrow, in fact. It's called Pennsylvania UFO Portal.
There we go. Now say it one more time. Where can people get this? But I mean, I'm serious. After going through just one quarter of the book, Venus Rising. I mean, if I can't, this book is going to be fantastic. But you're going to get it where?
It'll be available on Amazon, and it's published by Headline Books in Terra Alta, West Virginia.
Okay, now everybody that's listening to this right now, write it down. even on your sleeve if you have to. Put it in the computer and go get a copy of this, because I'm definitely, absolutely, saying that Venus Rising, forget about it. If this one is anywhere near as good as Venus Rising, I mean, I'm serious. I mean, you can't put it down. I can't, if I didn't have places to go or pieces to speak in it or something like that, I'd be sitting on a couch somewhere and that with a big cup of coffee reading this book. I'm serious. It's one of those books. You just can't not read it. Yeah. In fact, someone here, my media director, was saying, "Listen, we got to go." And I said, "Wait a minute, one more page." I was at the last page, I think, of the first chapter, and I just couldn't leave in that until I finished the page. I mean, just me, but whatever. What some of the things that even in my own life, and that where I started getting interested in, well, spaceships, UFOs, depending upon whether Rob Potter is listening or not. All of these things, and that were an interesting thing. And the thing that really spurned the whole thing was the Sputnik. If anybody remembers that, I will tell you, because I remember it. My sister was born on June 11th, 1957. In October 4th, 1957, the Sputnik went over America. And everybody was freaking out. Oh, what is that thing that's moving? Oh my God. And I mean, my dad was one of these people that, like, you come here. It's like, oh, you gotta see this. So I mean, we were standing out in the middle of our front lawn watching this thing, and then our neighbors came out, and then their neighbors came out, and then their neighbors came out. So here you got half of the town that is looking at this thing going across the sky, because it was only maybe the same size or maybe a touch bigger than the stars. So I mean,
Oh, yes.
and it
Well,
wasn't.
the 1950s, we were at the dawn of the dawn of the atomic age and the space age at the same time. So everybody was caught up in this hysteria, and it wasn't until 2 years later that the National Aeronautics and Space Administration was formed for the peaceful exploration of outer space. This was on everybody's minds. The TV shows, and then that were Rocky Jones and the Space Rangers and so forth. This is way before Star Trek, but this is what was engaging people's minds. And of course, the age of flying saucers. Um, this is when it all really took off. And the Sputnik was only 10 years after Kenneth Arnold's sighting of 9 disc-shaped objects over Mount Rainier in Washington State, the civilian pilot that was coined the term flying saucers. He said they were like saucers skipping across water, and that's where we got this name, flying saucers, and it's stuck ever since.
And that's absolutely true. And I mean, it's things like that that actually gave us, all of us, or humanity, put it that way, a taste of what it's like to not be the only one in the universe.
Yes, this was causing people to think about what's out there beyond the earth, and some even suspected that, well, maybe Earth isn't really our home after all. Maybe we're just transients. We're just passing through. We're spiritual beings that are here for a physical material experience.
And you know what? Even when people were looking up in the air and then they were seeing things, or let me put it to you this way: it's they thought they saw things. I mean, nobody had the guts or the stones enough to turn around and say, "Hey, that was this, or that was that, or I saw red lights and green lights." They didn't say those kind of things. They said, "You know what? There was something in the air, and I didn't know what it was." And the funny part about it is, it's only because people didn't have the guts to come out of their shells and say, "Hey, listen, that was definitely not ours."
Well, there was definitely a lot of repression that was going on then too. It was in the height of the Cold War, and of course we were in a nuclear arms race with the Russians, and getting into a space race, um, and so this was. A lot of people were afraid to say things about anything with outer space. But we know now that not only are UFO sightings very common, 50 million Americans have seen UFOs and reported them, according to a recent Gallup poll. But another 15 million claim to have experienced some form of contact with intelligences beyond the Earth, extraterrestrial or ultra-dimensional, that they can't explain, some kind of communication with higher realms or higher beings, and in one form or another. So the contactees that originally came out, they were very brave souls. In fact, George Adamski, who wrote 3 books on flying saucers from Venus, was giving an appearance at the Skyline Lodge on the slopes of Mount Palomar, where the big telescope is
Yeah,
in
yeah.
California. And there were more FBI agents there than there were spectators that came to see him,
Huh. Yeah.
taking photographs and recording everything he said. And interestingly enough, that the things that they said back then about Venus and the other planets in the solar system are being vindicated now, slowly but surely. For example, the recent revelation about oxygen in the atmosphere of Venus in much greater quantities than we thought. Mysterious lights being photographed by the Akatsuki probe on the supposed dark side of Venus, and that couldn't be explained. Phosphenes, which are life sustaining molecules, also in the atmosphere of Venus, and then just all this information is just coming out in the last few years since I wrote the Venus uh, Rising book, and now they're giving second thoughts about making Venus the planet of primary concern for future exploration, and even not that it hasn't been so far, because there have been um, there have been 47 space probes sent there so far from 4 different countries
Wow.
here on Earth, and that's more than the moon or any other planet.
Yeah, well, that's because somebody knows something that they're not telling us.
Oh yes,
I mean, if it was 47 probes that they went there, you could bet your britches that the first 10 found something.
oh yeah, and that's what I explore in that particular book, and all the books. Anytime there's more information that vindicates the contactees and so forth, I put it in these books, and I'm very proud of that book because it came out 135 years after Helena Blavatsky wrote her first treatise on any metaphysical subject, and it was called History of a Planet. It was all about the mysteries of Venus and the connections to Venus with the Earth, and the significance that it's the closest planet to the Earth. And there's a long history of contact with the inhabitants of that world, and going back to the writings of many people like Dante and Emanuel Swedenborg and others, who even said that they went to Venus. And so this is my life mission, so to speak. I was in the VA hospital, and I was wondering whether I should write this book or not, because I didn't know if I was going to make it. I was there for quadruple bypass surgery, and then I figured, why not? I need to do this. I had an out of body experience because they actually took my heart out of my body to work on it and put me on artificial life support
Right, right,
for
right.
for 8.5 hours.
On a pump.
And yeah, I had a dream or a vision, if you could call it, that I was above the earth and looking down um, on the earth inside of like a ring of fire or a ring of light. And was dizzy because I couldn't see the bottom and any floor. And all I could see outside the ring were just the darkness of space and a few stars and the earth below. And then I encountered my higher self, who appeared as I myself did in many previous incarnations. So I realized it was an oversoul, my oversoul, who's offered me to either stay uh, here on Earth to return and finish these Venus books and these revelations, or to go with him, merge with him, and return to Venus.
Now, I'll tell you something. When I hear something like that, I'm like, okay, somebody give me a ticket. Yep, that's good. The thing about Venus that has really, I mean, it's way before I met you, your book, or anything else. The thing that I was always thinking about Venus was all the research that they had with the 47 ships they sent up there to check it out. To me, anyway, it seemed like there was too much there. It was like baby Earth, in a sense. Earth had to start somewhere. And I'm sure that somehow, some way, Earth started similar in a way, because where else would you get the life from? The things that were in the air, for instance, in Venus, was it here? I mean, you just don't snap it. I mean, good. You could be God and you could snap your finger and there's an ocean. However, on the other hand, who put the universe here? That's where God comes in. Now, whatever happens on all these separate planets, they're individual per the planet. The astronauts that say when they drop something on the floor on the moon, it rang. Well, that usually means it's hollow, right?
Right, right.
Okay, so I mean, if that's the case, what we have not human beings haven't opened up their hearts or their eyes far enough to see what's right in front of their face. Your book brings out. I mean, I'm really hoping that a lot of people buy the book just because of the show. But on the other hand of the whole thing, they have to read this because there's so many questions you actually answered in the book. And that, as I said, I'm only through it by a quarter, but that doesn't mean that I didn't go quarter to quarter, cover to cover to see what was in all the pages.
Oh, thank you, Bob. I have to say, too, about the moon. In my fourth book in the series called The Vast Venus Conspiracy, I also talk in there about the moon and the mysteries related to the moon. And I have photographs in that book and also in the second book of bases on the far side of the moon, these dome structures that were put there. And then also I do the revelations about the Aristarchus crater that's just north to the Sea of Tranquility where the Apollo astronauts landed.
Right.
And it turns out that Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who was the UFO consultant for Project Blue Book, an astronomer from Northwestern University, who was also a consultant to that movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He was sent to Corrales, New Mexico, to the lunar observatory there, with orders from President Richard Nixon at that time to find a suitable place to land on the moon. And what they had noticed in their lunar survey with the telescope and their mission there was that there were these strange flashes of pulsating red lights in the Aristarchus crater, and significant discharges of radiation that were being measured. And so they sent the astronauts there to check out the source of these lights, these pulsating lights. And when they were on the moon, because of the several minute delay in the transmission, it was on purpose, because they were filtering out the communications of what they were observing. But they did manage to, some people managed to catch it on ham radios that they were talking about bogies, bogies and lights over the Aristarchus crater.
You
That
remember
they were quite worried about that.
which one of the astronauts was the one that said that something there told them not to come back?
Oh, that was
Oh, I can't spit it out, man. It's like the astronaut's name is in my head, and I just can't get
oh
it out.
yeah, it's the gentleman who became the astronaut who became involved with noetic research, the
Yeah.
Noetic Research Center.
Yep. Right.
And he admitted that to Paul Hellyer, the former defense minister of Canada during the Pearson administration,
Yes.
from 1963 to 1967, I think. And he also said on Russian television, RTV, he said that there's at least 80 species of extraterrestrials that look like us, and they're right here on the Earth. And if you walk past one, you wouldn't even know
No.
it.
Right. We have people in New York that I mean, I'm not making fun of you now. I mean, I have someone that was I would definitely, he talks to the people on the ship. That's how close he is. He's not he's not one of them, but he's a brilliant man that actually does. They communicate with him, and this is
Wow,
like right around the corner from Central Park.
that's
And
amazing.
there was somebody sitting on a bench one time that was mentally, through mind control, I guess, said, sending messages back and forth. He sat next to this guy, and this guy was a you know who knows what planet he was from, but he was from another planet. And they had a great conversation without opening up their mouths.
Well, I have the I was I was in New Jersey about 6 months ago, and I have all the original photographs from the collection of Otto Binder and August C. Roberts pertaining to Howard and Connie Menger in New Jersey, and their encounter with Valiant Thor and his crew that showed up at the Highbridge Flying Saucer Club meeting, and all the photographs of all the members there who were there, and some inside information, photographs of Howard and Connie in the process of transmogrification. He revealed that he was Sol Denaro from a Saturnian moon, and she was from Venus. And it's really amazing. I'm going to be presenting some of that information on it's either the 2nd or 3rd of March here at the New York UFO Disclosure Group, Nick Corto's group, UFO Disclosure.
And you got to send me the information on that.
That'll be a podcast.
Oh, excellent. I can get it from here, net, or I can tap into your line, whatever.
Oh yes, yeah. Feel free to use any, or if you'd like, we could even do a program on that and see all the exclusive photos, never before seen photos.
It's funny though too. We haven't. I mean, I'm not going to get political, believe me, but the administration that we have in right now is so far so far away from anything that would. You can't use the word knowledge around these guys. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, it's just not there. I mean, when it comes to, let's face it now. Well, if this guy had to take a test, he'd fail. I mean, it's that simple. The only person that I can think of, is, and I'm not going on. Well, I'm not playing Republican or Democrat or anything else, but it's like Trump is the kind of guy that made a space, section or department in our government because it's necessary. People are needed to find out or to contact or to do whatever they have to do to find out what these things are. For real. Not kidding, not hiding them in a file somewhere or telling somebody, shh, don't say anything, but I saw this guy down the block. You can't do this to people. We are human beings that look up in the air. We see these things. Like, for instance, the writer of the book, The Phoenix Lights, she was on my show. Her name is Lynn Swartz. Her name is. And she was, I mean, in the neighborhood that she was in Phoenix, her neighbor wanted to throw a baseball. That's how close it was to the ground. This big wing, V wing. And then he was thinking to himself, maybe I'll hit it. It's like bang. Yeah, well, I mean, when they're that big, I mean, the sheriff of the town, we had him on one of the tapes too. I mean, he even turned around. He said, you can't explain something like that. Well, why not? We have enough scientists and everything else around here. All right, half of them have their brains where the shoes are, but it's like some of them do have something to say, like what you say yourself about the subject. It's all real. It's logical. It makes sense. I mean, 2 and 2 makes 4. Well, not so much in this country anymore. It's 2 and 2 makes 3.5. But we still have so many things to know about. Knowledge is dangerous, and we should get more dangerous.
Oh, yes. Well, the Earth, like all the other planets and celestial bodies out there, is made up of the same elements, the same constituent elements. And we know also now that water is abundant in space and it's even present on the moon.
Right.
Frozen in craters. There's a frozen lake at the south pole of the moon, and that's another thing that George Adamski and these other contactees wrote about back in the day, that there was water on the moon and lakes and so forth, and everybody was laughing at them, but they're not laughing now.
No, because somebody would. What was that? There was some kind of a new instrument that they used on the moon to actually go below the surface of the moon to see what was down there, what vibrated off whatever they were doing. And the guy said that there's more water on the moon than there is in the Pacific Ocean.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's really amazing. It was like a puddle when they stuck that device in there. But the thing is that because the Earth is made out of these same constituent elements and materials, that we must assume that life is a natural consequence of matter, and here in the material universe. So we're definitely not alone. And in fact, when Helena Blavatsky wrote History of a Planet, which was all about Venus, she said that she was the co-founder of the Theosophical Society, and she stated that intelligences filled the vastness of the universe. There wasn't one space in the universe where some divine intelligence didn't exist. So we, being divine children of the Father of Lights, of the Creator, we are of the same eternal substance. We're the children of God. So therefore we're eternal beings ourselves. People don't realize just who they are and how powerful they really are.
It's funny. I did. It's a little weird, but I mean, I had my NDE, And I went on the other side. I know all about the other side. I know what happens then when we go. I mean, it's somebody said to me that it's really, really great that you had that experience because you won't be afraid of dying. I said, you know what? I said, I'm more afraid of living than I am of dying. The dying side, when you go to that other side, and I mean, I don't remember a tube or, going through any kind of thing or anything else. I was like, bam, I was somewhere else. It was that quick. And when you're there, just the love that hits you like a wind at 90 miles an hour is the most unbelievable. You take it with so much gratitude. You just can't believe it. I mean, it's just not. There's nothing I can say that even compares, to like what happened. So, there is more to life. We all say, well, you only live till you're 95 years old and you start kicking dogs. Yeah, no, 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 no. You don't do that. When you do die, it's not the end. It's the beginning. Now, I said when I was on the other side, and people are laughing all over the place. No matter what happens, no matter where I come back as anything, no kindergarten. That's out. I don't want to go to kindergarten. So skip that part. Whatever planet you put me on, they skipped what's his kindergarten. I'm not gonna make dinosaurs out of clay. No, it ain't gonna happen. But, the more and more you think about it, and that when you go and you review your life and the whole nine yards, and you find out what you were, where you went to, and of course when you get back on this side, you forget the whole thing. The good part about it was I'm allowed to understand what there is there, what there is on the other side. So when we talk about UFOs, what's the difference? In a sense, these are people that are just as people as we are. They
Yes.
probably all came here at the same time. There's all different types of not humans, but different creatures in other places. I mean, we've got people that are bugs. We got people that look like dogs. I mean, who knows? You got a
Oh
whole different.
yes, and well, in the fifth book that I wrote, it's all about Columba Krebs, or originally Annabelle Krebs from Greensburg, Pennsylvania. She went out to California. She was the secretary to one of the contactees, Truman Bethurum, in the 1950s and early 60s. And she had her own experiences in traveling with Venusians and other extraterrestrials to the moon and different planets. And so all of her notes and her artwork and everything is in. I collected it all together and put it in this book called Lady Columba Venus Revelations. She has drawings that she made of interplanetary councils, intergalactic councils, where of course, there's beings that look like us there, but there are also other different beings, such as like various hybrid creatures. This is a drawing that she made in 1957, I think. And there's a blue avian in there. There's a hybrid human bee type of being. Um, and this is in the council meeting. And so it's really amazing stuff. And she drew a picture of this council meeting being supervised by Commander Aura Rains of the moon base Clarion on the far side of the moon.
And there is a universal council.
Yes.
Yeah, but why don't they? Why don't they? Like,
And that's another
hey,
thing,
hey,
Bob, because in the recent revelations from the Israeli Space Authority, he said there is a galactic confederation out there,
Confederation, right?
and they're just waiting for us to grow up so we could join it. And all these things, like I say, that contactees were talking about in the beginning of the 1950s forward, it's all being realized now. And I have to say that I think that the UFO disclosure that people are waiting for, it's going to be a personal one. they don't have to wait for the government to tell them anything, because back in 1949, when Project Sign closed, the first official UFO investigation, the Air Force issued a statement on the 16th of January of 1949 saying there's definitely something to these flying saucers, these objects. They're definitely of a technical origin, but we're not ready to say that they come from outer space. And then on the 25th of June of 2021, when they gave the Tic Tac revelations and the congressional hearings and everything, the report said exactly the same thing, but they, instead of flying saucers, they said UAPs. They said there's something definitely technological here. It's some kind of object, but we're not ready to say that it's from outer space. So there you go. You have let's see, 40, let's see, 50. You have 70 years plus, and they haven't really progressed
At
in
all.
their knowledge or understanding, or if they have, they certainly aren't saying anything. And so therefore the revelation is coming to the people themselves. That's why 15 million Americans have had experiences at a higher level with extraterrestrials or ultradimensional beings.
You know,
So when I write about Paul Solom and people like that, it's so that people can relate. They can relate and understand their own experiences. And when I go to places on the road, I try to help people understand their own ET connection. I'll sit with them and go through uh, various characteristics and experiences, life experiences, and try to connect them to their home planet.
does anybody that you talk to ever understand that we're just as ET to them as they are to us?
Oh yes. In fact, I want to take I want to take that to another level, Bob, because John A. Keel, the famous investigator of all things paranormal, was talking about the relationship between ghosts and human beings, and he said that on the ghost side of the veil, on their side of the veil were the ghosts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they look at us. They look at us, and we're the ghosts.
Well, like I said a few minutes ago, in that when you're dead, life is not ending; it's beginning.
Yes,
It's a
yes,
whole nother ball game. I mean, well, let's face it. The first time when you're born, I mean, let's face it. Everybody doesn't remember everything. I remember a lot of stuff in that when I was 2, and doctors and everything else that said, no, he can't do that. I used to. My mother was a singer. That's why I was a musician and a lead singer of a rock band and that for 39 years. But after all of that, my mother was the one that instilled me into creation. Everything that we did, you create. You're not doing it just to do it and get rid of it. You're doing it to create something. Same thing with singing. And my mother used to play records. And I went into the doctor's office one time. I think it was my mother's doctor or something. I don't know. She was getting checked up. And I think my mother's story was like I was like 2, maybe 2.5. And I'm sitting there and I'm singing. And the doctor was saying, gee, where did you hear that from? I said, well, he sings the records all the time. And the doctor knew what the song that I was singing. And the song that I was singing, I had all the words right. And I was 2. And it was just because I heard it.
wow.
And I've been that way ever since. The same way. Every single thing that I do is a plus. I don't do things I don't try to do anyway. Let's face it, we all goof. But I try not to do things that are negative because you're learning every day, every minute, every second, every millisecond, you're learning. So if you can take everything you learned in a millisecond, retain it, and use it, oh man, that is like so cool. Now, we hear about what ET does. Now, don't forget, they are thousands, maybe millions of years ahead of us. So, therefore, what I'm telling you right now, they figured out 1,000,000 years ago.
Oh, yes, they've been there and done that for sure.
Exactly, exactly.
And
What we see,
part of their reason for being here is to help us develop the powers that are latent within us.
sure. I mean, people talk about, being going to a higher frequency, and of course, to go to a higher frequency, there's certain things that you have to do. The first thing you got to do is, and I've said this for a long, long time, is when you say "I am," you are I am. You have to know you. Once you know you, you can show you to the rest of the world. And I'll tell you something, the learning part for some people will take a lifetime. And other people can grasp it pretty good, pretty fast.
Oh, yes. We don't know just how powerful we really are, and who we really are. And I hope that the people will read my books, and perhaps it might open up a door of understanding of further gnosis for them.
Yeah, as I said in it before, Ned, I'm just a quarter through the book. And already, I mean, I can't wait to finish the book. I mean, it's like it's that good. And
Thank you
and
so much.
people ask me about the book, Ned, all the time, because I've said it, I put it on Facebook, I've had it all over the place. But all I can tell people is you have to read it yourself, because if I stand here and I try to explain to you everything that's in the book, it would take a lifetime to do it. I mean, your work is there was a certain how would you say it? You grasp a part of time and put it into a book. Things that come from maybe different times or same times, and that as we realize they're about UFOs and Venus and everything else, and you put it all in one place. So for us as humans to shove all that into one head, you know, I tell everybody you got to get the book, but you got to read it slowly. Understand what you're reading. If you can't understand what you just read it again. I've done that a billion times. I mean, because sometimes that you just, like one way you get one thought about something, and then you get it another way, and whatever. This book is so direct and so logical, you can't miss.
Thank you.
And you
Thank you
get the
so much
first
for
point.
those compliments. I really appreciate that. I'm trying to I'm trying to borrow from the past and the future to bring everything about the UFO and Venus connection to the here and now, to the present, to help people make a connection with our closest planetary neighbor.
Here's a question for you. You're going to Potter's conference. And
Yes.
by the way, Ned, if anybody wants to know about the conference or anything else, just write me at bobcharlesshow@live.com. I'll send you the address and the links and everything else so you can get in there and you can find out about the conference. You're going to be at the conference. What are you going to talk about?
I'm going to talk about some of my recent work with the Pennsylvania and West Virginia connections. I live in West Virginia, about 8 miles from the Pennsylvania border. And so I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about some of my own experiences, that of other contactees, Paul Solom, Sister Thedra, um, the um, the Venus connection with the Sirius star system, the Dogon peoples, the legends, and so forth. I've lived and worked in Africa as well, and South America. I've lived and worked in like 45, 46 different countries. And before I go to Mount Shasta, I'll be coming back from Germany. I'll be
Out.
doing a UFO disclosure conference in Memmingen, and a Venus conference at Lake Constance on the Swiss border in the castle there.
If they have, or if if they have tapes of those conferences, send me a copy.
Oh, I definitely will.
Yeah, because I mean, I'll put it on. I'll make it. I'll begin it like we do our regular shows and things like that, and then I'll tell people, hey, look, you have to, you want to know, you want to learn. Here's something to learn with.
I have a friend, Frank Jacob. Maybe he's the one that you were talking uh, about the Hopi and the different timelines and the significance of the petroglyphs
Yep.
at the Second Mesa in Arizona. Was that Frank Jacob by any chance?
I don't know.
Oh, he's a Canadian German who produced that documentary, Packing for Mars. And he did an analysis of a Project Looking Glass and alternate timelines and so forth. And always did a documentary on Project Looking Glass. And one of the things that he points to are the Hopi petroglyphs and their interpretation. So in my Paul Solom articles, which I published on Lon Strickler's phantomsandmonsters.com and Rob Potter's The Promise Revealed, I point out the similarities between what Frank Jacob has been saying and what Paul Solom and Chief Kachanga of the Hopi were teaching, and also Frank Waters, who wrote the Book of the Hopi back in the early 1960s. He was a Cherokee Indian, but he realized the significance of the Hopi people and their legends and so forth, and wrote the Book of the Hopi. And um, uh, Chief Kachanga also wrote extensively about Hopi prophecies and the coming day of purification, and matched it up with various religions' teachings about the day of judgment, or the final day when this whole system of things turns over and we all start anew. What the Hopi call the fifth world. The fifth world is coming. We're in the we're in the we're in the we're in the death throes of the fourth world right now.
So we're on our way.
Yeah, we're on our way to. Well, in the Book of Revelation, it talks about the New Jerusalem coming down in Revelations chapter 21, verse 4, and it says that when the New Jerusalem gets here and lands on the earth, that's the day that crying will cease. There'll be no more disease, no more war. There'll be no more pain, and death will be no more.
That's
In
an
other
interesting
words,
thing.
the Earth is going to join with the galactic confederation, the celestials that are out there. We're going to be part of them.
Yeah, the bad part about the whole thing, you and I ain't going to be around to see that one. I mean, the way things are going now, I mean, I'm serious. I mean, these guys, they swear they're going forward. I'm going forward. I got this biomics and all kinds of different things. They're walking backwards. I mean, I don't. The next thing they're going to have, we're going to have horses on our front lawn and a cart. That's how we're going to go back and forth to work. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, they have this new thing out now. I don't know whether you saw anything about it yet, but I mean, they have natural gas. They're gonna get rid of those stoves and things, and now they want to get rid of oil and everything. They don't want to use oil anymore. So I'm figuring to myself, like, okay, you're not going to use oil. So how is the jet going to go up in the air? You're going to put solar planet, solar things on the wings. That's not going to work too well.
I was in the military back in the when Nixon was president, and I remember a couple of administrations after that when Jimmy Carter was president, and then they had the first big oil crisis. And
Oh,
remember, so
1972.
looking at all the problems that people have with electric cars, about them not operating when it's cold and batteries blowing up and everything. And I was thinking that I remember back then that the Brazilians were running their cars on biomass, either diesel. They were making diesel or making ethanol, and they were building cars there in Brazil that they didn't need to depend on on regular gasoline. And
Yeah, but you know
so
what? There's something you're missing here. To make those crops, you have to put on fertilizer. And where
yeah,
does
that's
fertilizer
true.
come from? It's a bypass. It's a bypass of the fossil fuel, which is the oil. So therefore, if you don't have the bypass, you don't have the fertilizer, so you can't grow the crops to make the ethanol. you know, I mean, maybe I'm just too logic, but I mean, it's the more and more I think about this. I mean, you can cut down at what you're doing. You can cut down at the oil things. Then if things there is now or ethanol in your gas and things, and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
works.
I think it's
Flex
like up to
flex
10
fuel.
or 15%.
Yeah, but still, it's flex fuel. So it's
Uh-huh,
really,
yeah, flex fuel.
by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a motorcycle, don't put flex fuel in it. It screws up the carburetor, something fierce. I have a motorcycle that boof, I get lead gas. Thank you. But when you talk about pollution and things and that these electric cars, what do you do with the old batteries? Where
Good
do you get rid
question.
of where do you get rid of the garbage? The garbage is poison. So if you put the poison in some yard, someplace, it leaks. That leak goes through the ground. It goes through the ground, goes to the aquifers that we drink out of. So therefore, those batteries that are saving the planet are now going to end the planet and you on it. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'm serious. If you're going to do something like that, if you're going to whap out this electric car thing to everybody, I mean, let's face it. I'll swear to you, ET does not have electric cars. They don't. They do not. I mean, maybe a magnetic thing in it that works on some kind of a balance thing that makes them float or whatever. There is no such thing as batteries in those things because they are very, very, very um, environmentally friendly people. They wouldn't be in the planes or the ships or whatever they're in right now if they were uninvented or environmental friendly people.
Yes, that's the subject of my seventh book in the Venus series. In fact, it's called "From Flying Saucers from Venus They Come," and in there I also talk about the technology that we learned from the some downed UFOs in creating uh, electromagnetic propulsion anti-gravity systems in the 1950s. All the corporations that worked on it, the people that worked on it, the test pilots who flew these vehicles, it's all in there. And it's all documented, thoroughly
You know,
documented.
that's another thing. We have all this technology. Where is it?
Yeah,
Does
we
anybody
could be
tell anybody about it, or
yeah,
is
we could be
it hidden?
living like a Jetson like
We'd come on. We're about 50 years behind when all these things were found. The thing is now I have to go two sides. I mean, I'm always that way. I balance out somewhere. But the idea of the thing is maybe we weren't smart enough at that time to realize what things could be used for. But I think we've come far enough now that some of these things that were found then can be put to different uses. They feel that maybe they only do this or they only do that, whereas there's a third there it can do. I mean,
oh yeah, oh yes. Yeah,
they just don't rise things off the ground. No.
we haven't begun to look into all the possibilities.
And
Speaking of it,
the technology that comes from ancient times is unbelievable. They're just finding out today about things they knew 2,000 years ago.
Oh, yes. And as Dr. Frankie Stranges used to say, there have been many civilizations that have come and gone, so many that we don't even know all of them.
Nope.
And we're just one in a long line of civilizations that have come and gone on this planet.
We're not the smartest weed in the lawn. I mean, that's just the way it is. Well, listen, what we have to do, we got to talk again. This has got to go on even further, because I know that when I put this in and people start listening to it, they're going to be giving me a lot of questions. Don't forget, bobcharlesshow@live.com. If you send it there, you know what? I'll tell you what. Everybody else, there are so many people around here that are going brainless because they're texting their brains out. Either that or they'll need a chiropractor from their head going down, looking at their hands. But if you want to, you can also text. We have a text number here at Pyramid One. Text only. Don't call it, because if you call it, nobody will pick up the phone, because it's not a phone. It's only text. It's 863-222-4199. Again, 863-222-4199. If you text to that address, I will text back, maybe, but you won't get an immediate whatever, because I don't even hear the thing going off. I look at it at night. But that's another way you can get in touch with us. There's so many things. There's so many people that we talk to all the time. There's so many different educative people we talk to all the time. You want to know more, you want to learn more, you want to know things you didn't know before? Good. Get in contact with us, because we will expand your horizon in learning and education that is beyond anything that we have right now, even in schools. You ever notice that, Doctor? People in schools don't talk or don't think out of their shell. When I grew up and I went to schools, we always thought out of the box, not in the box. Today, it's the other way around. Why?
Yes, I think I don't understand why kids aren't really learning like we used to be able to. I know we're in deep kimchi, because if if there's an electromagnetic pulse and it wipes out our grid. I mean, they can't even make change for $1. They can't even count up to $1 from the change.
Nope.
And it's just so super sad. And if you take somebody from somebody that was in school in the 50s or 60s, and with the books that they were reading, and you give them to a kid now, they'll be completely lost. They won't even be able to read it.
No. But if you put it,
they don't know. They don't use cursive. They don't know how to read it. It's really sad.
Right. Now, that's another thing. Ladies and gentlemen, you that are listening, if you have questions about this, what we're talking about right now, and what we're talking about Venus, and you're talking about UFOs and or spaceships, if you have any questions about those things, we're here to educate you. We will. You get me, man. I'll get you on Skype, and then we'll have a talk. You got a question? Believe me, in this computer that I have here, well, there's 5 of them around here. And these computers, Ned, I have all the shows. I got all the notes. I got everything is inside these things. You got a question? I'll find it, or tell you how to find it.
Oh yes, if you save the questions, I'll be happy to answer them on any particular show, or if you want to do one on the Dogon and the Sirius Star Mysteries, or on Valiant Thor, or any other subject, I have really unique PowerPoint presentations that I could share with your viewers.
I would like to, Doctor, after this new book is out, and the new book takes a little grip in it. And I mean, send me all the information about the new book and that, and I will definitely put it on I'll make sure everybody gets a copy of it. Well, I'd like to talk about that book, because you have all these books, and if you go start from one, and we go book to book to book to book, it makes a lot of sense that people never took in their brains and said, oh wow, that's real. You can really do that. Like, hey, there's so much.
And it's all documented and footnoted. So if people want to know more information, it's it's all footnoted. Chicago Manual of Style, 14th edition.
We are
so they could check it out for themselves and see that I'm not making up any of this stuff.
Nope. See, that's good, because I mean, even on the stuff that I saw in here and the pictures that you had in the book, it's all been researched, but it's researchable. If you don't believe what you see, go look. It's there. The same, you'll get the same explanation in the computer as you do in the book. Ooh, it's real. I'll be fine. Damn. But anyway, it's always an honor, Doc, to have you on. And as I said, we want to do this again, but we got to do it maybe another month.
Yes.
We'll do it
by all means, and that'll be after the UFO disclosure event in New York. And I'm sure I'll have a lot more information to share from friends there in New York that also will provide me with some information.
Excellent. Send me all that information, because I'm telling you, I've been doing this since I'm a kid too. I mean, like you. I mean, we're all young spacemen. I mean, let's face it. I mean, even my lunchbox had spaceships on it.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
That's come on. Didn't you have those?
Definitely.
In my room, my father put the wallpaper that was on there. It had little moons, and it had rockets, and it had the whole, the guys coming out of the thing on the ladder and the whole thing. I mean, this is something that we all had in us, and we all have it in us. The only thing we have to do is we have to look a little harder. We have to look inside ourselves. We have to look inside our brains. The brains is nothing but a big computer. So just like you can play with your cell phone, you can play with a computer, you can play with your brain. It's there. It's open. It's an open door to the world, to the universe. Just use it. Or ask the questions and get the answers.
I still have a map of the solar system by an artist back in the 1950s that was in one of the very first photographs of Coral and Jim Lorenzen in the background from APRO, Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, when they were in Wisconsin.
Wow. I don't know. I see what we're little kids in big bodies. All right. Saying that now, we're going to get out of here. However, anyone wants a copy of this, again, write to bobcharlesshow@live.com, and I will send you a copy of this show and anything else you need. Or we'll make a date, we'll get on Skype, and we'll talk. Or, here's a big one. I will tell you exactly when the next show is, and if you want to talk, I will give you a Skype address where you can actually come into the show, just like Zoom. It works the same way. And you can ask the question personal, like right nose to nose with our host, with our guest, with me. So therefore, hey, look, I can't tell you anymore. This is good.
Thank you, Bob, and thanks to all the people there at Pyramid One for making it possible for me to share this info with you today.
And we're going to share a lot more, so don't worry about it. As I always say, thank you to Raymond Andrew Keller II, the man, the guy, the doc. To everybody out there, listen. God bless y'all. Bob Charles.
Thank you, Bob.